Hi guys, this is TheRunningManZ. Thanks very much for checking out this video. Got two things for you on this one. I'm going to show you an edited version of my first win in the Survivor game, so we'll do that first. And then afterwards I'm going to talk through what I think are the pros and cons and where it's at this stage. It is very, very early alpha. Really, really early stages. This is just from the first day. But anyway, this is my first win in Survivor games. I've managed to get about 7 or 8 rounds yesterday, and I did win 2. That's cool. But yeah, this is the first win, and then we'll go through what I think about the Survivor games so far afterwards. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you later on. Love you, bye.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Someone's AFK. Look how many are AFK. This is a bit of a weak play, I think. We're going to get weak loot coming this way. We're not even got a gun yet. How many fucking rounds have I got to find before we find a gun? .45 ACP rounds. 9mm rounds. More 9mm. Yeah, I'm going to the church, but I'm going to loot my way there. Should we just go off to the Millie base? Go off to... Oh, CR. Very good. Nice. Okay, so church is good for medical stuff. See, there's 8 people left in it, but some of them are just standing here. Let's get some kills, guys. This is the only way. Yeah. Elite level kills. I am top fragger for sure. See, a lot of people seem to be dying in the first zone at the moment. I was reading that wrong. I was reading the seconds up here. That was my Got 3 fucking minutes left yet. Bollocks. We might as well go and loot this. There's a dude there. He's just gone crouching in that bush. He's going to have better gear than me. Only one way to find out. Oh, fuck. Okay, I'd say he's dead. Looks like you can have multiple bleeds. I think he was dead long before I realised that. I just wasted an entire mag on that guy. Oh, that gives you a good hit. That's cool. It's got an F and X. There's only 3 people left. I quite like the way that this smoke has through the smoke is going to be good gear. Like up there by that truck is going to be good gear, but you've got to go over an open field and risk it to get there. Try and get my stamina back. We've got 20 seconds till we can go. Is the loot going to be in it or is it going to be around it? I want to just check that chicken stand just to see if it's a go. Oh, did I just see a player? I don't know. It is a good place for scopes, just not the one we particularly needed. Now, when we went to the lumber mill before, it was up here, but the good guns were in the piano house on one side. And there's our AKM. Fucking hell. It's a UMP. Right, so we are here. Final zone is this compound here, I think. Oh, that sounded good, didn't it? Bear trap. ATOG scope, eh? I can put that on the EMP, but I don't think I want to. seem to be bleeding as well. I did not want that. Oh, he's got a kill, so there's only one left and he's over this way. Would it be wise to go for that? It's not wise at all, is it? 41 seconds. That timing. So that was my first win. I tried to scale it down quite a lot because it wasn't exactly amazingly exciting. It was kind of fun. It was fun to play, and I do think there's something in this mode. I think there's something in it. Whether it would be a standalone game or not, I don't know, but I don't think so. But we're going to talk about it a little bit. But first off, let's start with the caveat that this is a closed alpha on the very first day, and there was some problems with matchmaking. There was problems getting in game. The server performance wasn't amazing. It's the very first day, so I'm not going to talk about frames. I'm not going to talk about things like that here because it's very, very early. I want to talk more about the game and how it plays and how I see it going and what might need to happen and so on. Just to cover off one thing, it is a closed alpha. The dev gave out 5,000 keys yesterday. On Twitter a while ago they announced the launch of this game mode and they invited people to apply for a key. The first 5,000 keys went out yesterday. I got one of those keys, hence I was playing it, and this is how I can talk to you about it now. You can still apply for keys. I'll try to put a link in the video description as to where you can go for that, but it's a first come first served thing, so you'll be, if you apply today, you'll be behind some other people waiting. In terms of what I want to talk about, I really want to talk about some positives, what I like about the game mode, and then rather than talk about negatives, I'm just going to talk about more things that probably will need to be improved, because as I say, this is a very first iteration to see what way the wind's blowing, I think, by the devs, see how well it's received, see what feedback they get and so on. So they have a Discord, they're looking to get feedback, they're going to be open to feedback on it, I believe. So rather than talk about good and bad, I'd rather talk about things I like and things that probably need to be improved, because I think that's a bit more of a positive way of looking at it than just saying, oh, it's broken. Because I think clearly there's going to be a lot to come on this mode. But let's start off with some of the positives. The first thing I really liked is the way it captures the feeling of the start of Survivor games from the old original mode, with you all standing in a circle and that feeling of urgency as you start. You know, you're all standing in a circle, there's that like air raid siren, and then you go. It's actually really kind of good. It captures the urgency of the start of the mode. You're all starting in the same place. There's none of this, I landed here and got this, you landed there and got that. And that's something that is nice, is that it's a little bit original, you know. It's not like every other Battle Royale out there where you're flying down from, parachuting down from something or jumping off some, I don't know, balloon bus. It's a little bit different to that, which is cool because it makes it different. At least it's a different style, which I think is cool. I also quite like the gunplay. I mean, the gunplay is basically very, very similar to DayZ. DayZ's my favourite game. I enjoy the gunplay in that, so I enjoy the gunplay in this. The gunplay works really, really well. I'm not sure there's that much gun variation right now. I don't think all of the guns even that are in DayZ are in this. For example, AK-101, AK-74 and things like that. I'm not convinced they're all in the Survivor games yet. It feels like there's less choice right now than there would be in normal DayZ even, but don't know that for a fact. I've only played like 7-8 rounds, but it feels like there's less guns. But the actual gunplay itself is really fun. I also quite like the fact that you start with nothing at all, not even a bandage or anything. In DayZ regular Survivor, you obviously spawn with a bandage. In this, you spawn with nothing, and that's kind of cool. You have to go and find a knife, you have to go and find rags as a bare minimum, so you can bandage. If you get hit by a zombie, you're going to bleed to death. It's kind of cool. On top of that, I really like the simplified medical system for this. If you get hit, you need to bandage, and then morphine, epinephrine, vitamins actually replenish your health. So it's a different system. You're not waiting for it to replenish like DayZ. You actually have to. The only way to replenish your health is to instantly get more by using an epinephrine or morphine or vitamins and so on. So I like the health system. It works better for this than the regular DayZ system would do. Where if you got shot to red health in old DayZ and the round is 5 minutes, you're not going to get your health back. Even though it does regen quick in regular DayZ, it would be too slow for this. The only way to regen your health is with health regenning stuff, which I talked you through in the video. I think that's kind of cool. To be honest, for now, the biggest positive, I think, is that it captures the feeling of the Survivor Games mode, the start in particular, and the urgency and the randomness of choosing where to go. It feels quite nice. The start feels really good. I think there's a lot of learning to be done. People are new. People were waiting ages to get in a lobby, and then several were AFK and stuff. But I think the game mode itself will flesh out as people get familiar with it. It'll actually get better to play as well. But I think there's some good things. There's some really good points to it. But there's a lot of things that need to be improved, and that's what I really want to talk about, and we're going to do that now. So the biggest thing for me, I think, that's going to be needing to be worked on in the short term, really, is the variation with regards to the map. At the moment, there's only one map, which is based around Severograd from Chernobyl, and you start just north of Severograd, and then you progress south into Phase 1, then Phase 2, and then Phase 3. But with only one map, if you think about, say, PUBG is a similar Battle Royale style game, and it has 4 maps. This only has 1. But the difference is PUBG, you're playing the entire map every round. So you could play one map only for many, many, many hours and have a different experience every time. You could spawn at a different town. You could go somewhere different. You could try and get to the island. You can spawn at the Mill Island, and then there's towns everywhere, or whatever. Yeah, if you've played just one map of PUBG, there's many, many options as to what you can do per game. Whereas with this, there's one map, and you start in the same place and run to the same town, and then the same Phase 2, and then the same Phase 3. So it's very, very repetitive in the long term, So for this to work, they're going to need an awful lot of maps. It won't be any good being like 6 or 7 or something. Like PUBG has 4. DayZ can't have 4 for this, They're going to need 20 plus maps, I think, at least. And in an ideal world, they'd really need to have it like a random thing, like using the whole of Chernobyl, where it could almost start a random one. So sometimes Phase 1 starts where it normally does, sometimes it starts where Phase 3 is and goes the other way and whatnot, They're going to really need to be very, very expansive with the choice of maps, because if it's only, say, less than 10 in the long run, this game would be quite shallow, I think, because no matter what, if there's only a few choices, then the Phase 1 to Phase 2 to Phase 3 is the same every time. You're going to need a hell of a lot of variation in where you start and what towns you go through. Otherwise, it would get tired quite quickly. I think that's the biggest thing that's going to be a stumbling block, I think, personally, for me. It's just the map variation. They're going to need a hell of a lot. Chernobyl is really big. There's a hell of a lot of towns. It seems that they're prepared to change the map a little bit. They've obviously added a little bits into this. It's not standard Chernobyl that we've got in DayZ. They've changed it a little bit, so they can do this kind of thing from almost any town in DayZ, and the opportunities for loads of map variations in Chernobyl is really good, but they will need to flesh that out and do a lot of maps for it to work. I think also the second thing probably ties into another thing that I've kind of got down as something to work on, and that's the player count and the infected count. Now, it's too early to say, but if I was to be asked what way the wind was blowing after a few games, I'd say there's probably not enough players and there's too many zombies, would probably be my rough estimation. It's only a first thought, but there's 16 players at the start. It's actually not that many. I feel like maybe it could be more like 25, maybe 32, but perhaps a few more players at the start would improve this a little bit. Certainly if it's duos, I don't think 8 teams of 2 is going to be enough either. I think maybe doubling the player count or thereabouts would be great if it's possible. And it will depend where the maps are. Maybe with this they can have some maps that are 32 and some maps that are 16 if it's a smaller town that you're starting at and things like that. That would add a lot of variation as well if there was different player counts for different maps and things like that. But the player count is probably a little low. there are a hell of a lot of zombies and you can't really tackle them, and they tend to hoard up a little bit, which is kind of cool, but you get like 8 in an area, so you basically just avoid them. And I don't know, for a Battle Royale style game, having zombies makes it unique, it makes it different. I think that's cool. They have different AI, they're differently behaved than the regular zombies in DayZ. They're a bit slower, they're not as dangerous, but there's many more of them. I think it's cool that they're there, but maybe a few lower might improve performance and perhaps allow for some more players. But that's just initial thoughts on how it is right now. With these things that I've talked about so far, I'm only really trying to talk over the headlines of some key gameplay mechanics that I think probably are going to need to be fleshed out. I'm sure the devs are well aware of this already. You know, it's not anything that's like rocket science, but so far we've talked about needing lots of map variation, zombie count and player count. I think they're 3 big ones that might need to be tweaked. The other one that I think is going to be needing to be seriously looked at, and the other of the 4 kind of main things for me, is the way the guns are distributed around the map. Again, this is only early days, but the way they're distributed around the map is very meted. You know, that it's intentionally so. It's a game choice by the devs. But if in the first zone you run to the construction site, there tends to be a Mosin and a press vest there. So nearly everyone tries to go to the construction site. And then in the second phase, the lumber mill has an AK or an M4 or both, and it always has one. And so everyone's going to go to the lumber mill. And that's okay in that it creates hotspots. And I think what they're trying to do is create like a bottleneck for PvP. But that kind of works okay, but that phase has one main bottleneck. And Severograd seemingly has like churches for medical gear. Most people are going to go for the construction site. There's not enough bottlenecks, you know. and that, I think in phase 2 most people are going to try and get the AK or the M4 from the lumberyard, and it sounds good because you want bottlenecks for PvP, but given that the map is only quite small and the phases are quite short, it's basically going to be very similar every time you play the game. Everyone's going to go to the key hotspots every time, which is going to make it very repetitive in the long run. You know, they're going to need to work on how to make each round feel different to the next. And they'll either have to do that with very big maps, or they're going to have to randomise the loot a little bit more, I think, because if you're always playing this particular map and everyone rushes the construction site and in phase 2 rushes the lumberyard, it will get very, very repetitive. You know, they're going to have to work on a way of changing that. An example being that chicken stand in the last round you saw me win. I find a PSO scope there. I found a PSO scope there every time I checked it, that same stand. So, like, you can go to that stand, pick up a PSO scope, go up the hill, pick up an AK, away you go, you know. There's a few other small things I'd like to see changed. It'd be nice if the guns at the hotspots, the smoking crash sites, like the truck crash site and the heli site, it'd be nice if they had a chance to spawn with a scope, because they seem not to. But if you're risking an open field, it'd be nice if the Mosin came with a PU, it'd be nice if the SVD came with a scope, maybe, at the heli. And similarly, when you pick up an AK or an M4 from the lumberyard, it'd be nice if they had a handguard and a buttstock on them. They seem to be completely bare at the moment. I think that's possibly an oversight, but it'd be nice if they came complete, because it seems a bit weird. But the main 4 things for me are map variation, loot distribution around the map, making it feel like it's going to play the same every round, player count and zombie count. I think those are the things that are going to need to be looked at. And if they are, and there's going to be tweaks, the performance will improve no end. I'm sure there'll be loads and loads of tweaks and loot variation and so on. Extra guns added in and grenades and things like that, landmines, which I didn't see any of as yet. They might be in. But I'm sure it will improve a lot. My initial thoughts are that this doesn't feel like a standalone game at this stage. It feels like an add-on to DayZ. And as an add-on to DayZ, if it were free and it came with DayZ, I think that would be amazing. I think it would be very, very good. I think it's a nice angle. It's a new game mode and it would be a lot of fun. But I don't think as it is right now, it feels like it's going to compete with the likes of PUBG or any other Battle Royale game you can think of, you know, like the others. There's lots. Apex, Fortnite, whatever. I think it's going to need some fleshing out and a hell of a lot of map distribution. I like the way it's got small maps and it feels different and it feels like it's a nuanced, like a very different experience to the regular Battle Royale, and it is true to the Survivor Games format. But the nature of the Survivor Games format is likely to make it repetitive unless they really think about how they're going to do it. That's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know there's been a lot of waffle in the second half, and I think I must have waxed lyrical for something like 12 or 14 minutes, but I love DayZ. It's my favourite game. I'm passionate about DayZ, obviously, and I'm hopeful that this will give us something extra to play and something more varied to play with any luck, but we'll see. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Love you, bye. Fucking hell, I won. Everybody else was outside the zone.